Hello, Facebook community. This is Jennifer Noreen with Gary Parker at Barbecue to You in Gig Harbor, Washington. Sorry, we had technical issues and it appears we are now online. Here's Gary and the teddy bear. So tell us about the teddy bear, Gary.
I love Texas. Somebody gave me that, and so I really like it. It's actually Beanie Baby. I love Texas Beanie Baby, and it's got my little burnt orange, necktie on it. And he's my buddy, so he sits there on the desk and keeps me company on those long nights when nobody's around.
Nice, nice. Thanks for sharing. So
So
what's going on at the restaurant other than you're busier
busy,
than you're busy?
busy and busy. It's our time, right? So
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
we got really blown out over the Fourth of July and all that stuff. So we're still really in a catch up mode. The young men can only cook so fast, and so they're working really hard at it. Plus, I'm trying to get them out and get them rested, let them have some fun in the sun, and not work every day, right?
Yep, that's
Got to have a
important.
healthy staff in order to do great products. So
Yep.
we're trying to do a lot of that kind of stuff right now, and then keep up with our wedding catering and so on and so forth. So, what's up with you at Beyond Brand Collective?
Beyond Brand Collective. Well, I'm busy promoting a restaurant called Barbecue to You in Gig Harbor, Washington.
Oh, there you
My
go.
team and I, yeah, we had fun. Gary won a contest recently, and he's getting ready to hopefully win vote Pierce County, best in Pierce County. We don't know yet. Thank you all for voting for Gary and for Barbecue to You, I should say.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, we've been busy promoting top fans. We love giving recognition to people that are super engaged on our Instagram and Facebook communities. It's so important to us. And we love hearing what your favorite food is and what we're running out of that you want and what you guys think of these new Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday specials. We love hearing all the feedback online. So thank you. Um, so Gary, can you take a minute to talk about the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday? What's
The
going
two,
on those Taco Tuesdays, Wednesday wings, and Friday
yeah,
pork
Wednesday
belly?
wing. Yeah, Friday pork belly. I mean, those are the staple stuff we've been doing for years. Pork belly was the first one we started years ago, and then we started doing almost a year ago, maybe a little less. We started doing Taco Tuesday because we thought that would be fun, and then there's the wings Wednesday, and they're really popular. Um, Ever since we started doing them, we put our own particular flavor flair on it, right? That kind of thing. So the tacos are a lot like a street taco, only I use brisket, pulled pork, whatever you like, right? The wings have a very unique uh, barbecue flavor because they're smoked in the pit, right? So they're almost done. When you order them, we then take those smoked wings over in the fryer, and we crisp them up on the edges, right? And then we toss them in. They've got a couple different sauces they toss them in, but mostly it's the people, folks are liking the barbecue sauce mixed with sriracha and stuff like that to get a little heat in them, and yeah, they're super awesome.
So
One of my
what is
favorites.
available to put on the tacos? Is it veggies or
Tacos. My main guy Carlton back there, he goes on Tuesdays and gets fresh ingredients, and he makes his own version of a pico de mayo. And so there's always a debate back in the kitchen because whether that's real pico de mayo or whether that's a special one. And I'm in the camp that it's a special one, but it's all called pico de mayo to us, and so we put that stuff on there along with the hot sauce and those kinds of things, right? So it's really good. We encourage
nice?
people to try them if they like tacos.
Yep, yep. And what are you so these specials aside, and we'd love to see you for all three of them, all you fans out there. But that aside, what are you running out of the most? Is it still brisket?
Pulled pork brisket, pork ribs, they're always going to be the first ones gone. Shortly, I mean, just shortly after that, all the poultry will go, right? And a lot of the times at the end of the day, the only thing we have back there is some sausage, right? That's left. And yeah, we really don't have, one of the cool things about this place is we really don't have leftovers, right? So,
Mm.
I don't know how many people realize that, but, you know, um, in main restaurants where they've had meat sitting in cevets all day, stuff like that. Well, they just kind of leave them there, and or they'll chill things down overnight, whatever their food regulations allow.
Hmm.
But they always have a certain amount of inventory that always just cycles across the day, right? And we don't have that problem here. Is because we go to we make so much, and when we sell out, we sell out, and sometimes that can be annoying, right? But on the
Hmm.
other hand, you're guaranteed that the next day, right, it's all going to be fresh again. And
Yeah.
and people, what's really cool after 6.5 years now, people are really learning that fact. And so, yeah, they know that we ran out, and it's frustrating, but you'll see them come right back in the next morning or next afternoon for lunch, and they know it's all new and it's all fresh and it's ready to go.
Yeah, that's kind of something specific to the Southern barbecue culture because there's not a lot of restaurants that are as popular as Barbecue to You is. That if you don't show up early enough, for example, on Fridays, you may not get pork bellies for dinner like you wanted. You may get something
That's
else,
true.
or you may not get brisket like you wanted on a Saturday night. So, you can call ahead if you want. That might work. But yeah, it's a thing. They run out and they keep a sign out in the front of the restaurant that lets you know what they're out of. And it's just part of this culture you have to just kind of adjust yourself to. So, but it
Yeah.
also
And
is the result of success. So,
Yeah, and this time of year, I'll be perfectly straight with you. This time of year, some of the specialty items like the beef bone or the beef dino bone and stuff like that, there's just simply not room on the pit or time in the day to do them. And so
mhm.
some folks will come in looking for them, but we just couldn't do them that day. And, you know, yeah, we don't, we're, that's another thing we're looking at right now, but is we're trying to put a second pit back in the kitchen, right? So we get a little bit more cook space out of it. But steel prices are out the roof because these things are custom made for me, right? So they're not just like you go over here to Ace Hardware and buy one, right? It's you got to give them a call. A pit will cost you anywhere between $40,000 and $60,000, and it takes them 16 weeks to build it, and then you get a week or so of shipping, and then you have to get it installed. And so it's not an easy chore to do that. So even if we go through with purchasing this pit, right, it's still probably end of the year before we have it online, right? So
And it's
yeah,
it's funny to think there was that Google review that came in. Someone was accusing you of not having a pit on site. They were
yeah,
convinced that you making it in Canada and shipping it in or something. That
oh
was
yeah,
so
it's fun.
funny to me. Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
you just stand there at the serving window. You got a big black box back there, and it's got smoke coming out of it. It's not hard to see the thing, right?
Not sure how they missed it. Yeah, that's kind of funny. And it makes the whole block, that whole restaurant block, smell like smoke. But yeah, funny. So we promised people we would talk about turkey and poultry today, and we're 14 minutes in because of our technical delay, so we should probably get down to that. So what about turkey? Can you tell
What
us
about turkey?
about what do
Certainly,
you celebrate at barbecue to you, and then maybe a little bit about holiday, and then I know you also wanted to talk about chicken and poultry in general, kind of
yeah,
what your
that's where I
approach
was
to
going
it
to
is.
go with this because
Yeah.
this is it's really more of a discussion about poultry versus turkey because what's the classic thing you hear everybody say you know is they cook their they cook their turkey or they cook their poultry and it's dry, right? Well, poultry as a whole is not as easy as it looks, right? And you really got to know a lot about it. Each of the birds are unique, but they're also the same in that the dark meats are going to withstand the cook process better and stay more moist. And the white meat products, the breasts and pulley bones and wings and stuff like that, they'll tend to dry out on you if you're not careful. So there's different things you got to understand from are you cooking pieces, right? So like restaurants, like I do. Um, for our primary chicken product. We buy boxes that come with 40 pounds of deboned chicken thigh. Okay,
Mm.
and so cooking that is one thing. So we get that, and we like putting they don't have any skin on them because they're also skinned, right? So that means they're susceptible to drying out during the smoking process. So we'll take those and we'll marinate them in our sauce, right, before we put them on, so that they have that extra layer of protection to keep the moisture in, right? A nice heavy
Mm.
glaze with that really sugary, sweet, tangy sauce, and it builds a beautiful flavor, but it protects the meat, and so it's very moist. That's different, if I was cooking a half bird, right, where you'd have the dark meat and the white meat on. Well, in that case, you'd want to leave the skin on, and you'd want to season the skin, right? And then you would want to monitor that you want that to cook very quick. So it's time in the pit for poultry has a big effect, and so For example, you never take a poultry product and put it on a pit that's just been lit, right? So you can get by with that kind of stuff
Yeah.
with beef and these kinds of things and porks, right? Because they got so much fat in them. But you got to wait till that pit is really at its optimal. Okay, when you're trying to do poultry products, because you want to get it on there, and you want to take that through the heat curve as fast as you can get it there, right? So, not not like grilling. Grilling's also good, but when you're smoking, you want to start out hot or you want to start out perfect, right? And you want to keep that lid closed, right? And you want to take it from whatever temp it starts at all the way through the 165, right? So the 165 is legal, right? That's where the health department says that you can pull chicken and turkeys and stuff from the heat, right? Because you're fully cooked at that point. So we like to go a little bit more than that. We go 165, and then we hold it there for a little bit just to make sure that some of the thicker pieces get all the way through properly. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when we pull it, and you don't render chicken, of course, because it doesn't need to be rendered. And then we put it in the pans, and we go straight to hot holding for serving at that point. Um, but
In the pans and then what?
we put it in the pans and go straight to hot holding, right? So chicken goes straight from the pit straight to the front counter, right? Just as fast as we can make it. Um, then but what I was trying to get to there was when you do like a thigh, the skinless, you want something on top of it to help protect it. When you do the half a bird or the the meat with skin on it, you want to get it into a nice hot pit that's ready to go. You're going to get in there. You're going to leave it alone. You're going to temperature probe it. You're going to get over 165. You're going to get it off there, right? Don't let it sit there and bake, because when you do that, you're changing the texture of the meat. You're killing the moisture in the meat, right? That's different yet from when you're doing the whole chicken, right? I don't know. There's different variants of that. You've seen beer can chicken, and stuff like that. You've seen grills. But when you're doing entire birds, they got a lot more protection on them. You still want that hot pit. You don't want to do it with a half hot pit, but you want to get it in there. You want to get some more moisture in it, right? Because they're going to sit there longer as those breast meats and stuff cook, right? And so that tends to dry certain parts of the bird out if you're not careful. When I do, I also, so let's take then chicken like you see in a Caesar salad, the boneless breast, right? Well, Gary, what do you do when you do that? Because now you don't have any skin, and you got this singular big chunk of white meat, right? That you got to go through. And mine always comes out dry. That's what I hear is when people do that. And so here's Gary's secret. Get ready to write it down.
Okay, got it.
Are you ready? So when I'm doing boneless breast, right, and no skin on it, and I don't want it to dry out while it sits in the pit, I put it on hard pack frozen. Right? It is frozen as hard as a brick bat when I put it on. Now you're saying, Gary, why do you do that? Because when that breast meat is frozen, then that means the heat of the pit has to, as the smoke and stuff goes across it, it has to melt, or thaw out the chicken, right? And so as it thaws out, it thaws out from the outside going in. Okay. Well, we're trying to keep all the moisture in, right? So as it's going, or as that thawing happens towards the center where that outside is getting cooked, it's turning nice and toasty. I like to call it marshmallow brown, right? If you've ever toasted marshmallow perfectly, right? It gets that look on it, and then by the time the middle hits its 165, that piece of chicken is done, and you pull it out, you let it rest, and you'll find that piece of chicken, that piece of breast has so much flavor and so much juice in it. It's certainly not dried out. Right?
Okay, so put solid pieces of chicken in the smoker, take it to 165 degrees, goes through the pans, and serve it. That's simple.
Yeah,
And if you don't want dry chicken, it has to be frozen solid.
Yeah. And so, like I said, frozen solid, and it takes a lot of people off guard. They go, "What?" When they first think about it, because you're sitting there, beating it on the table. It's hard, and but it won't take it all that long to thaw out and cook. And but when it does, it's maintaining all that moisture, and it'll have a really, especially if you like for um, or most folks, you can go to Costco and get that 10 pound bag of frozen breasts, right? And
Hmm.
they're already injected with saline. So the neat thing about them and why I like using that for Caesar salads is it's already got that saline in it, so it's got a nice salty flavor when it's done. It's very moist, very tender, and it's a really fantastic piece of chicken. You know?
Sounds
So
good.
what I'm trying to make a point of with all that is it's not just go get a piece of chicken and put it on a grill or a pit, right? You kind of got to think about what you're doing a little bit. Is it white meat? Is it dark meat? Does it have skin on? Does it have a marinade on? Um, and deal with these different complexities because it all cooks different. And your goal is not to dry it out and jerk it, right? Your goal is to make it a really nice, flavorful piece of protein, right?
Right. Right.
It's cooked all the way through. And 165 is pretty hot, right, for a soft meat like that.
Right.
So you
Dried
got
out
to be
really
a little bit
fast. Yeah.
smart. You got to be a little bit smart about how you do it. So that's the basics. So now let's turn around and say, well, Gary, what do you do on turkey, right? So then you got things like turkey legs. Well, the skin is on those, but they're also a dark meat, and that's why you like to see them at carnivals and fairs and this kind of stuff because turkey legs are extremely durable, right? And so you can put them on, and you can spritz them a little bit over the cooking process. But all in all, they're bone in, and they're going to cook pretty quick. And because they're dark meat, they're going to stay really moist, right? But the big one to talk about is is your Thanksgiving bird, right? And that's really before I get there, even that we do these big breasts here in the store. I think you've seen them. You got pictures of it all sliced up in a pan that you use a lot, Jennifer. How do we do those? Okay, so those are those are very cold when we start. They're not quite frozen, and but the deal about those is they're so big and they're so massive. You don't have that big dry out process that you would have.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, there is in the ones we use, there's a 15% saline solution injection that's gone on it to put a little extra moisture in that breast. But because of its mass, that's turkey breast, the mass of it, right? Then it tolerates the process a lot more than one that's about the size of the palm of your hand, right? And so it's not as delicate, and so it can take a little bit more. And so that's an important distinction as well, right? But then the thing, what I was going to say, the Thanksgiving bird, and we love doing the Thanksgiving bird. And I don't do them here in the store just simply because the pit's not big enough to handle full size turkeys. For family and friends, occasionally I'll do them, on the trailer pit,
Yeah.
and
Every year people want them. Every year they ask. Would you ever reconsider and do full turkeys?
that gets back to that getting that second pit discussion, right? Because then,
Yeah.
like, on Thanksgiving, I could use the second pit to do the turkeys, right? But
Yeah.
the other thing about them is I don't like when I cook them, I want to eat them that day. I don't really like to store them and reheat them
Yeah.
when I do the Christmas and Thanksgiving first.
Hmm.
But what's neat about those, it's kind of a hybrid of all the things I told you, right? So I'll get those. I order the big, 20 pound or better, butter balls and similar things, off-brand butter balls, right? And when I get them, they're frozen solid, right? So they go through this process of storing them in refrigeration, right, and bringing them into kind of thawed out, right? Um, and what I'm trying to do with those big birds is I'm trying to get them to thaw out just enough where I can get the neck and the giblets out of them, right? Because I don't know if you've ever tried to get it out of a frozen bird, but they don't come out; they're stuck, right? It
Hmm.
heats up. So so that's my when do I put it on the pit? Just as soon as I reach in, I grab that neck or I grab that giblet bag, right? And it will resist and it will wiggle, and but it will let go and it will come out without ripping, right? And it's very cold. Your fingers are going to hurt, right? Because that bird is really cold when you do that. And it's at that point where, and I don't put anything in it. do anything else. I just leave if the body cavity has the ice still floating in it, that kind of, I don't care. I put it on the pit that way. And then again, just like with all the poultry, that pit's up to temp, and you just sit it there and you let it take on color, and you got a temperature probe in the thickest part of it, and you're waiting for that breast, which is usually the breast, and you're waiting on that breast to hit 165. Right? You hold it there for a little while. I'm not talking about very long. You hold it there for a little while just to make sure all the really thick pieces of that bird, get up to temp like you're supposed to. The skin will protect it. And on those Thanksgiving birds, when you're in a smoke pit, which wood you use will largely dictate the color, okay, of the bird. So, for example, if I want an amber-colored bird, right, then I will go for the native woods here in Washington. I'll use alder to do that because that bird will come out in a very red, very amber format, right? If I want that bird to have the color of the traditional golden bird, right, then I'll try to cook with then I'll cook with our same post oak that we use to do our brisket with, right? Because different woods will produce different colors on those birds.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So you're watching. So it starts out kind of semi-frozen, not completely frozen, and then as you got it up to temp pit, you got that. And I do 5 of those birds at a time, right? So on my trailer pit when I do them, and so you get this semi-frozen bird, and it starts to take on this really nice color, this crispy skin around the legs and different areas, and then it'll start to turn golden. And if you watch it, if you do it right, you've got that temperature probe in that breast. About the time it gets to the shade of golden, dark brown or golden if you want, you'll notice that breast hit the 165, and you can pull it and let it rest. Right? And it comes out of those pits just ready for the table. That's the reason I like serving them that day so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now, if you do have to do it the day before or do it previously, you want to get them out. You don't want to rush the bird once you take it out of the pit. Right? You want to get it in this pan, right? And you want to cover it with foil, and you want to let it rest for a little while, right? And it's been through a pretty dramatic change when it went through the cooking process, and so letting that meat, that bird rest for a little while will texture it up to be what you want it to be, and then before it gets too cool, right? Then you want to get it into a refrigerator and get it cooled down pretty quick. Okay, that's really important if you're going to rewarm it, because what that's going to do, that's going to lock all the fats and juices inside the bird. So then the next day or a couple of days later, if you want to get that ready for the table, then leave it covered in the foil. You put the whole pan and everything in an oven. Put it at about 250, in your oven. Temperature probe it. Let it come up to the proper temperature for eating, and pull the top off, right? Or pull the foil off and put it on your platter. So lots of little stuff. There's lots of little stuff to know and practice, right? When you're dealing with poultry.
Yeah, sounds like it. Wow, lots of stuff. So do I have this right here? So are you saying if you want to serve a whole turkey the next day to cool it quickly, or are you saying to cool leftover bird?
I said let it rest, right? So what you're trying to do is I want to let it rest, but I don't want the food to get into a danger zone, right? And a danger zone is from 141 to 41 degrees, right? So as it drops, right? Because you're trying to get it below 41 degrees when it's cold, right? Mm-hmm. And you want it above 141 if you're going to serve it, okay? But poultry needs to be cooked up to 165 before it's killed all the bacteria and everything that can exist. So there's a space there that if you put it in a pan and you wrap it with foil, and you can monitor it, right? It'll cool down really slow, and then about time it gets down to that 140, enough time has passed that it's comfortable. You can just go ahead and put it in your refrigerator, and then what you're trying to do is move it from 140 to below 40 in 2 hours, right? And that's regulations, and if you can. right? And that's the safest way to cool quickly and then reheat and be safe with, because you got to be careful with poultry, right? Poultry can go sideways on you, quick if you don't treat it.
Oh yeah. And nobody wants a dry turkey on Thanksgiving because you don't have another turkey sitting around to deal with it. So
And you don't want to let it
okay.
sit around you don't want to let it sit around and get warm either, or get in that danger zone right where bacteria starts to grow.
Yeah, right.
That's a common mistake at holidays. People eat and then they let everything sit out for the next 4 hours, right? And then somebody goes and grabs some, but then they don't feel so well, the next day,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It's because they didn't do proper heating and cooling on it.
Right, right. So, quick review of turkeys. So, or cooking poultry in general. Um, Time in the pit, put on a mature pit only, and that has to do with not drying it out. Turkey goes in the smoker cold, as opposed to frozen for chicken.
Right.
When the giblets will come out simply and easily, the bird is ready for the smoker. So that's a great little Gary Parker tip right there. Let the bird rest, then refrigerate it quickly for next day serving. That's a safety temperature thing. Is there anything else that we need to know about turkey and chicken before we wrap up?
Reheat, right? Reheat. You put it in the oven at 250 and bring it up to above. I like 145. Some people go a little higher than that.
Do not dry it out.
Not dry it out. Yeah, and that's why you're leaving the foil over the top of it and everything. So what you've done is you're creating steam inside the pan as it heats up, and that's going to keep it moist. If you try to warm it up without the foil on it, now you expose it directly to the heat. That's just going to evaporate moisture.
Okay, got it. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. But I think I may have the guts to try a Thanksgiving turkey again this year. I haven't done that in a long time.
Right.
So I'll have to try that. Well, thanks, Gary. Thanks for all the good information, and hopefully all of us will have less dry turkey and chicken from here on out. Is there anything going on with your philanthropy that you want to highlight for everybody? I know that you brought up a veterans event coming up. Is that closer now, or not so much? Or?
Well, the veterans event's Veterans Day, so that'll be out in November.
Okay.
But yeah, we're cooking for 400 veterans that day, and I think we're doing a couple other events for the vets on that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the school stuff is now subsided. We're now booking counter takeovers and stuff like that for September, right?
Mm-hmm.
On when the school organizations kick off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Authors are doing good. Authors are going to be out at the art festival here in Geek Harbor all weekend in the big red tents, and so I encourage everybody to go out. It's local and go see them. And if you're close by Geek Harbor, come in, go to the event, and see them anyway, right?
There you go.
At the authors section this week, Miss Lucy's got an art show going on, so that's all her works from her years as an artist, and some of them are very interesting, very creative. Certainly not your typical art, but still very well done. Let's see what else. I think I got something else going on, but that's probably the highlights right now.
Okay, great. Well, it's always good to see you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening here, and we'll be seeing you soon. I'm sure there's extra long lines during the summer, so if you've got your eye on something in particular, make sure you show up early, and or even call ahead and say, hey, I want to make sure you got brisket for my family. So thanks, Gary, and we'll be talking to you again next month. Take care.
All right. Welcome, Horns. Hey, there you go.